Hello everybody, and welcome back to our third tutorial. I'm Cynthia Kane, and in this tutorial we're going to be covering some more specific resources in terms of career counseling and finding out a little bit more about jobs and careers to help people make decisions more effectively. I'm also going to be showing you two resources in particular that will help you with the American Psychological Association or APA citation styles. So let's go ahead, and we're going to start directly this time on the library's webpage. Now this will look familiar from our second tutorial. We're going to go to Databases, and I'm going to show you one database in particular for this tutorial that you may or may not have worked with before. This is under the letter M, under the A to Z list of databases. And this one is called the Mental Measurements Yearbook. Now this one is a little bit different. This is not the same as PsycInfo or SocIndex with full text or other databases that talk about different topics. The Mental Measurements Yearbook, as we see here, contains full text reviews of standardized tests. So why would we want to use this? Well, we're going to go ahead and click on Mental Measurements Yearbook. And as we saw in our second tutorial, since I'm off campus, I need to type in my BuzzIn username and password. And we're going to go to an advanced search, as you know I recommend with all databases. So, what do we want to do with this one? Well, at this point, I might be working with a client, and I might be interested in some type of standardized test or standardized instrument out there that could help my client make better and more informed decisions about a career that he or she would be interested in. But I really don't know what's out there, and I also don't know about the validity or reliability of different instruments that might be out there for careers or career counseling. This is where Mental Measurements Yearbook can really help. It is not going to give you the actual standardized test, but it will tell you the information about the test, plus the validity, plus the reliability, the intended audience, and then how to get copies of the test and how much the test would actually cost. So it will give you that type of information. So let's go ahead, and as you know, I tend to go to a little bit more of a restricted search. So I could select just test name or test category or population or purpose. But I'm going to keep this a little bit broad this time, and I'm just going to type in career. So I'm keeping this as a little bit of a deliberately broad search. And I'm glad that I did this. Now this is really interesting. I have 187 tests, basically 187 results. But remember, this is all going to give me the full text of different test reviews. So here's one, for example, that's called the Career Motivation Profile. This was reviewed in the 19th edition of Mental Measurements Yearbook in 2011. So that's relatively recent. Let's go ahead and click on the full text. And this will tell me about the test. It's a 40-item inventory designed to evaluate certain personality characteristics and/or specific skill sets. And as I go down, it'll tell me a little bit more about how the test is actually administered, the time limits, the reliability, the validity. And here's the actual review of the test itself. And I love this with the Mental Measurements Yearbook because this is going to tell me everything that I need to know about a standardized test or a standardized instrument. And when I go back up, I could, if I wanted to, print out the complete review of this test, or I could email it to myself as well. Now, you notice that there's a link here to cite. Normally, I would say click on that citing feature, but for the Mental Measurements Yearbook database, I'm going to tell you not to do that. And this is going to make a little bit more sense in just a few minutes. Again, I can go back to my result list, and I can look at a lot of different tests that are here that deal with careers, career counseling. Some of these will get a little bit less relevant as I scroll down. Now, if I happen to know the specific name of a test, such as the Myers-Briggs test indicator, or type indicator. And the Myers-Briggs type indicator, of course, is one of the more well-known ones for certain personality types, 16 types in all. I could type in the name of that test, such as the Myers-Briggs type indicator, or MMPI, and then that would actually get me into the specific test itself in terms of the test review. But again, if you don't happen to know a specific name of a test, you can do a keyword search just as I did. I could do career counseling, rehabilitation counseling, and then find different reviews of tests in Mental Measurements Yearbook. So I do really like this one. I wanted to show you another resource too that actually you can just get to from Google, because it is a government website. It's government information actually, and it's called the Occupational Outlook Handbook. Some of you might remember the Occupational Outlook Handbook if you ever used that in high school on trying to decide upon a major field of study or a career. This is also available online, and it's from the United States Department of Labor, Bureau of Labor Statistics. The address up here is www.bls.gov/OOH for Occupational Outlook Handbook. So what does this one do? Well, this gathers a lot of information from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So you're getting good, updated United States government information in terms of statistics. And the great thing about this is if you were working with a client, you or the client could just type in the name of a profession, and then this is going to tell you everything that's current about that profession. What is the job outlook? What's the salary range? What is the level of education that's expected to be able to pursue this field? And when I talk about the job outlook, it really is going to tell you if there's an expected downturn in that particular job or career, or if it's expected to really rise in the next few years. So we can just type any type of occupation that we might be interested in. I'm going to type in financial analyst. And I need to click here. And this tells me what do financial analysts actually do and what can they expect to make. And I just wanted to use this one as an example to show you how this actually works. So I do have median pay as of 2012. The entry-level education is a bachelor's degree. No on-the-job training, but this is very interesting. This is expected to rise 16% from 2012 to 2022, faster than average. So this can be a very good table that you can use with clients when you're dealing with career counseling to show them what to expect and kind of what to be prepared for. Tells you what they do, the work environment, how to become one, the pay, I told you the job outlook, and similar occupations. And you see how easy it is to search an Occupational Outlook Handbook. This is why I really like this, because this will tell you exactly what to expect. And when you're working with a client, it's very visual. It very much will show them what to expect in a particular field of study. There are other sources out there that will do the same thing, but I tend to go back to the Occupational Outlook Handbook. I also promised that I was going to show you some ways that will help you, especially when you're getting ready to write a paper in APA citation style. Now, many of you may have a print copy of the American Psychological Association or the APA Publication Manual. If you were here on the Emporia campus, we have print copies of that in our library as well. But you're not here, you are online students. So I wanted to show you a couple of sources that will help you find information a little bit more effectively. I have a guide that I wrote, and this is emporia.beta.libguides.com/APA. This is a guide that I wrote specifically to help you with the most current ways or the most common ways of doing APA citation style. And what I've done in this is just showed you, for example, with periodicals, these are sample ways of citing articles in APA form, depending on the format that you have, if it's print or electronic, if it's from a database, and so forth. Now I'm going to caution you on this one. I wrote this, but I am not an employee of APA. And because of that, do not use this as your only basis for APA citation style on trying to figure out how to do a periodical or a book. Always go back to an APA publication manual if you do have that in print form. I'm also going to show you some other sources that are from the American Psychological Association that you can go to as well. I cautioned just a few minutes ago that I didn't want you back here when I go to this on the Mental Measurements Yearbook. I didn't want you to use the cite feature. I'm going to show you now why I said that. On the APA citation style guide that I have a link to another library that shows you how to cite test reviews in the Mental Measurements Yearbook. I really encourage you to use this link if you need to cite anything from the Mental Measurements Yearbook database. And the reason is that this is going to walk you through the process. So basically what you do with this is put down the author of the test, the fact that it's a test review of a specific test. You will actually give the title of the Mental Measurements Yearbook that it's from, and you'll be able to find this when you're in the Mental Measurements Yearbook. So when I go down here, for example, this tells me this is from the 19th Mental Measurements Yearbook. And the important part that you need to put here is that you are using the electronic version. This was retrieved from the Burroughs Institute Mental Measurements Yearbook online database. It's very important to put this when you're citing a test review from Mental Measurements Yearbook because that shows that you're using the online version. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, if you were to use the cite feature, it just simply is not going to give you that accurate information. So I wanted to give you that in my guide. Let's click back here. And again, what I've done is tried to show you different ways on my APA citation style guide of citing information. Use that as a guide, but again, don't use that as the be-all and end-all. So you always want to find other reliable sources of information, such as the APA publication manual. Another one that you can use that I happen to like very much is the APA Formatting and Style Guide from the Purdue University Online Writing Lab. In other words, OWL at Purdue University. Some of you may have used this. I do have the link up here, and I have a guide that I'm going to be creating for your class that will have all this information as well. The OWL at Purdue Online Writing Lab is another good supplementary source for questions that you have about different citation styles. So for example, with APA, this will give you the basics for doing in-text citations, those parenthetical citations that you do within the context of a research paper. It will also show you different ways of citing books, electronic resources, and so forth. One thing they have here that I really like is an APA sample paper. And when I click on this link, this is actually going to show you a sample research paper in the APA citation style, and it's going to include everything that you need: a running head, your cover letter, your cover sheet, the abstract, and will also give you the guidance on doing in-text citations for direct quotes and indirect quotes, how you label your paper according to headings and subheadings within the context of the paper, and so forth. A sample paper is also included in the APA publication manual in print, but this is a good way with the OWL at Purdue site to get some quick help, particularly when you're writing a paper and you can't quite remember maybe how to format it, or how a running head would look, or how an abstract would look. So I did want to show you this as well. I'm going to close this and go back here. At this point, this concludes our third tutorial for doing research for your CE820 class. And I hope that this is kind of giving you a good start in the right direction. As always, I encourage you to contact me, Cynthia Kane, ckane1@emporia.edu. I'm here to help. I'm here to give you any assistance that I can on getting started with your research so that you can do a really good and effective job. Good luck, have a wonderful class, and a great experience.